The last time I was genuinely excited for a video game was in 2020, in the months leading up to Cyberpunk. That was nearly 5 years ago. Over those 5 years, there hasn't been a single game that I've been excited for or genuinely had fun playing. You know that hype where you can't sleep? The type you felt for Arkham Knight in 2015, or Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018? No game in recent years even rubs two of my dopamine cells together, let alone captures that same feeling I had for games in years long past. Sure, there have been games that I've been looking forward to, like God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring, but neither of those games really got me going. In fact, I didn't beat either of them. I've set out to investigate the reason for this phenomenon of lack of enthusiasm for games released within the last 5 years. Are the games getting worse, or am I just outgrowing gaming? You must know that I play AAA titles. That means big budget, bombastic games with high production value and crispy graphics. I like well-written stories and characters. I'll find the odd indie title here and there that I really enjoy, like Horizon Chase Turbo, which is the best car game ever made. But overall, I like the big games. There have been good quality games in the last 5 years, but everything feels formulaic, dull, and uninspired. Doom: The Dark Ages looks good enough, but they removed everything that I loved about Eternal, like the acrobatics, wide color palette, and badass music. It's confusing because it tries to do new things, but somehow still manages to look like the same old shit. Death Stranding 2 looks dull and lifeless. I don't want to play as some bozo doing deliveries in a desolate land while I sit there scratching my nuts. Ghost of Yotei is a snooze fest DLC. I don't want another game where the cutscenes look like two mannequins from HR having small talk. It takes itself super seriously, while I'm sitting there not giving the slightest shit about anything happening on screen. There have been hella remakes and remasters over the last few years, which managed to modernize old-ass games while losing the classic old game charm that still makes the original superior. There's also been an absolute dud by one of my favorite game developers, Rocksteady. I'm also not into MMO, TPP-to, Bobo RPGs that you need to invest your whole life into. Not only do they feel like a chore to play, I'm also not going to dedicate months of my life to a game like League of Legends like a goon, only to turn it off and snap back to reality where I'm some dude in the Midwest named Jeff, with my gut stuffed with fat, arms flabby like grannies, zero progression in real life, regret for wasted time, and post-apocalyptic room, while my virtual character has sucked up all my effort in upgrading him only for me to ultimately not even give a fuck about any of it. Anyway, there have been no industry disruptors like The Last of Us or Arkham Asylum or Red Dead Redemption. There's no innovation. I feel like I've played everything already. It's now the same shit over and over with no new dormant areas being awakened in my brain. Now listen, my dopamine receptors are not fried. I actually enjoy reading books more than playing any of these new games, because reading actually feels more stimulating. It feels like it's massaging my brain, lighting up dormant areas, while these games feel like they're atrophying my brain because they feel so generic and uninspired. Once you've played one of them, you've played them all. But when you actually find a good book, it's engaging at a much deeper level than most video games could ever be, because your imagination is the director of the script that you're reading. For lack of a less cheesy word, it's the most intimate way of getting insight into a character's psyche and feeling the exact vibe the author wants you to feel. But what I miss most from gaming is the sense of wonder that I felt when I first fired up Arkham Knight and just stared at this screen for a few minutes while soaking in the vibes and artistry. Or when I got Red Dead Redemption 2 and derived pleasure from just walking around and taking in the atmosphere. I tried playing God of War Ragnarok, Elden Ring, the Dead Space remake, Spider-Man 2, the Resident Evil 4 remake, and Jedi Survivor, and while they're good games, I feel like I've played them millions of times already, and they don't excite me. They have nothing new to offer. But I guess that makes sense because most of these are either sequels or remakes. Look, I'm shooting dumb bozos. The graphics are crispy. I'm Spider-Man! I'm fighting Zeus. These games look objectively good, but they feel uninspired. They just feel like the same old shit. I also can't say I've outgrown gaming either, because I recently revisited GTA 5 and it immediately sucked me in. You boot up Arkham Asylum and are transported to that world and atmosphere. These older games made you feel something. There's a charm, a fucking pizzazz there that hasn't been in games released in the last few years. There's a sense of personality, of distinctiveness in these older games, a sense that the game fully committed to its vision and sculpted its own distinctive vibe. Or maybe I'm just looking at these older games through the lens of nostalgia without knowing it. So the answer to my initial question is that games aren't necessarily getting worse, they just aren't getting any better. They're not surprising me in the way that games from the late 2000s to 2010s did. Gaming today feels stagnant, like everything's been done already, and the only upcoming games I see innovating in terms of storytelling and gameplay mechanics while still maintaining high production value and polish are Intergalactic and GTA 6.